and I welcome you to the stream where I will be illustrating the second winner of the polls that we are holding on the Dale of Merchants 3 Kickstarter page. And this time it was for the Fetterfolk, so there were again 10 different animals that you suggested before the voting, and then we had a 1 week time period where you could vote for your favorite from those 10 that you suggested. And first it was going to be the River Kingfisher that was going to win based on the popular votes, but then Quackalope and his community came and gave quite a few votes for the wood duck that they have been also suggesting for the voting in the first place. So it was quite a definite win for the wood duck. So that's what we'll be going to illustrate today for Dale of Merchants 3, which is right now on Kickstarter. And without further ado, let's get started. Here we have the current state of the game board, and here we also see the Thorny Devil already on the right side, which I tried to stream last week, but because YouTube's new background dashboard, I messed up that a bit, so I ended up drawing on my cat Eddie on the night side board. But today we are going to draw the wood duck, and just like in what I usually do with these illustration streams, I first brainstorm either alone or with my team on where we want to put the character and in which posing and things like that, because that can sometimes take quite a long time and might not be that interesting to look. So we have decided to put the ducks here on the far side, so you can see them here in the back. And yes, you will get 4 ducks for the price of 1 on this one, because we came up with an idea that they could be walking. There would be one main wood duck, which is the male one, because that's the colorful one which Jesse from Quackalope wanted to have in the voting, and we thought that it would be fun to have them all have 3 chicks behind him walking as well. And as a nod for Quackalope, we thought quite hard on how we might be able to show some kind of horns on the on the duck, because as you might know, animals in Daimuria in our games are based on our world's animals, so there are actually no horned ducks in there. So we came up with an idea of having some plants on the background. So here we go. This is what we ended up, and I will be finishing up the drawings for these ducks and for the plants on the background. So you can see here that it's pretty much a horned duck if you know what you're looking for. So I hope you're happy with that, Jesse. We had like 10 different ideas, and this was the best one, and which is not too disruptive for those who do not know what's going on. Then it's just there for us who know the story behind the duck in the game board. And I'm glad to see that you're happy with the solution as well. So as I usually do, I have the rough line art done, and I will then start by drawing the base colors for everything and continuing from there. And for that I have some reference images here. We have 2 of the male ones and 1 female one as well with the ducklings, so I have color references for all of these. So at first it doesn't matter too much what colors I use. I will use this as a kind of base layer to draw on top of. As they are behind the pillars, I will add a mask later to hide the parts that should not be visible. And while it's usually in our world it's the female one who takes care of the chicks after they've been hatched, doesn't need to be that way in our Daimuria game world. Is the music still too loud, or should I turn it down a bit? Can turn it down just a bit. Maybe that's better. It's always a tricky balance to get it right, because shouldn't be too loud, but should be loud enough to be able to hear it, and obviously I can't hear the mix of those. It's better. Great, and welcome to the stream, HV as well. Currently the ducks don't have any accessories on them, and I usually like to include some for them. So if you have any fun ideas on what kind of accessories or clothing I could draw on them, you're free to suggest. Obviously I don't want to put any hats on the large male duck, because that would easily hide the horns or the plant behind him, so at least for that I'm not going to draw any hats. And before you suggest, one of our team members already jokingly said that I could draw baseball caps in 3 different colors on the ducklings, but I'm not going to do that. We're fine with just one homage or reference in the ducks. We don't need another one. that should be pretty okay for the base. Then I can make them a bit closer to the colors that they will be. Computer getting a bit even more laggier than it usually does during streams, but should still be able to struggle through. The ducks are so colorful. thanks for joining, Paul. See you again next time. So many colors on these guys. Let's see if I can make at least one of the chicks a bit different hue. More bright, for example. It would be possible to just pre-record these streams and then just broadcast the video, but I just don't like that idea too much because then I would not be able to interact with you, with anyone watching the stream. Right, so let's see, without the line art looking kinda okay. Might be time to move to the next layer, adding some shadows. If nothing else, seems like my computer is just a tiny bit more responsive after the reboot, so makes drawing a bit easier. Not much, but a little. welcome to the stream, Christian. And Successful Geek is asking which application I use to draw. I use Photoshop CS6. It's already quite a few years old, but it's the newest Photoshop that you can actually purchase and not just rent from Adobe, and that's why I'm using CS6. But pretty much any Photoshop, they are quite similar. And you said that you need to learn how to draw someday. Yeah, and you don't have the talent like that. It's just need to correct that it's not that much of talent, but it's more like an experience, just like anything. You can no one can, for example, play a piano. No one has talent to do that. Talent is mostly like how fast you learn, but in any case you need a lot of practice and a lot of time to learn the skill. Just a little rant, because I don't believe that much in talent. It's more like how, yeah, as I said, how fast you can learn, not where you start. Yeah, I also look at the Affinity line of programs. They look really nice, but one thing is that they do not offer any scripting, and for example, I need heavy scripting in InDesign, which is a layout program, for example, for rule books, cards and things like that. And I need scripting especially for our next game, Lands of Galzur, which is why I haven't tried Affinity to do much myself yet, because it doesn't, at least from the previous time I look at it, it did not support scripting yet. Welcome to the stream, Kusuprin. Yep, Dax won. And you even get 4 for the price of 1. There's some crazy things that I need to be able to do in the next game, where there are basically some cards are linked together and in the different stories that the game will include, and those links are, I can update the database with the numbers, and then the numbers will be reflected on the cards. Of course they will be static once they're printed, but with the scripting I can make sure that all the links over between different card numbers and things like that are correct before going into the print, and we can change the numbers even just before printing and still be sure that all the links are in the correct places and correct numbers are used. So that's where I did some custom scripting with InDesign for the next game we're working on. Scripting isn't necessary must, but when you're doing professional work and large projects, if the program doesn't have some weird thing that you want it to do, it's really nice to have scripting, so you can basically add in the feature that the application is missing otherwise. And then I think we should add some accessories, at least for some of them, maybe not even all of them. Someone suggested some sort of bracelet or something for at least some one of them, maybe a necklace or something for the Father Duck. see. Let's add a new layer so I can turn them off if needed. Some scarf could also be okay. Let's go with some, for example, green. Can change the color really easily later. Not sure if I want any necklace so on the male duck, but would be some sort of scarf. So on the night side I already drew. Eddie has the my cat that is on the back side already has a scarf, some kind of similar to this, so I don't probably do not want the same thing here. And hats are no go. Maybe just some little hat for one of the smaller ones. It would be possible to have no accessories at all. We can go without any for now, because I can also always add some later if needed. Let's see. Let's add some roughness, so they're not quite as clean looking. Let's actually draw in some of the branches on the back, so you can see how those look as well. turn down the opacity of those as well. Just add in a few leaves so the plants aren't actually dead, but didn't want to add too many, so it's mostly branches above his head. These do not have to be too detailed because they're just background props, but I was going to look them too much. But still, some detail is necessary so they don't look unfinished or anything like that. Still not entirely happy with the color. I want it to pop off a little bit more. Maybe something like that, and add some highlights later. See how it looks entirely without line art. Then I think it's one additional layer of detail on the ducks and they should be pretty fine. They are also quite small on the game board when zoomed back, so you're actually not going to see them as large as they are here on the game board itself. So the scale, I can zoom out, and here are the card slots, and each of the slots are basically the size of a card, so not that large. So the duck is like, let's say, this tall on the actual, so like 2 to 3 centimeters on the actual game board. So that's something that I need to keep in mind when drawing, that there's no point of adding some extreme fine detail on some of these characters, depending on how large they appear on the final game. So currently doing final detail work before calling this ready. At least some highlights and things on the smaller ones, so they pop up more from the background. Should not blend in too much. These should be quite fluffy as well. The peak should be a little bit shorter. Then I'm not entirely happy with his eye quite yet. Now we're pretty much at at the stage where I just continue polishing different parts until I'm happy, and it's sometimes a bit hard to decide when to call quits and say that it's good enough. It's not quite yet there, but getting closer. I still need to finish up the branches, plants on the background. Oh, and I also need to add some shadows below these fellas. Starting to be quite happy with the ducks. Let's make the background plants nicer looking. thanks for being here, HV. Hope to see you again later. Starting to be quite happy with the fellows. Happy little trees. Yeah. Who wouldn't like to draw some happy little trees and happy little clouds and all that. Glad to hear you like it, Morgetto and Jesse. So here we have our little duck with some horns that are definitely not his, and even three little chicks following. Maybe let's see if let's add just some small shadows below the lands as well. Think that's pretty fine. Not much to add anymore for those guys. So here we have the game board so far. So it has the Thorny Devil from the first voting over here, and Wood Duck along with his little chicks behind him on the second voting. And tomorrow will be the next vote will begin. So for that one we will have 10 amphibians that you will get to vote on, and those are again based on the suggestions that you have been making on the polling page, and we will pick pretty much the 10 with the most suggested amphibians, and we will place those in the voting that you will get it vote on. And it starts tomorrow, and it will run roughly a week, and I will illustrate the winning amphibian on the next Friday, and that will be again at 10 a.m. my time. So right now this stream started 10 p.m. 8 p.m. so 10 hours later, and the next stream will begin 10 hours earlier, so people from different time zones and different schedules can join in, and others can always watch the VOD on later date. So thank you for joining me and bearing with me with the technical difficulties that we had even this time. Maybe the next stream will be free of those technical difficulties, we'll see. But thank you again for joining, and I hope to see many of you next week as well. Thanks and bye.